Okay. Nope. Yep. Hey guys. So, bear with me. I hope we can sort this out. If you can hear me type something or say something, can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can people hear me speaking? No one's typing. I can see you're in the room. All right. Well, what I'm going to do is answer this text from my friend. Let's see. I think the chat's going. So if you guys have any questions, type them out. I'll answer them. Also, can you hear me talking? Hello, can you hear me? Uh-oh. Five viewers in the first 4 minutes. Crazy talk. Are you guys here for me? Are you here to watch me open Patchistory? Damn. Look at that. It's sealed and everything. I'm gonna wait a little while before more people, or for more people to show up before I open it. Maybe like 15 minutes or so. Until then, we can talk, but only if you chat along and type and engage. Let's have a conversation. Maybe there's another chat thing that I'm not seeing. Maybe not. If people typed and just told me that they can hear me or that you can read the words that are on the thing, that would be awesome. And then I wouldn't. Then I would know that I'm not just spitting into the wind, as it were. No? Okay. Who knows? um, how about... Okay. So I'm assuming that people can hear me, but I'm waiting for any kind of feedback. Just anybody to say, hey, we can hear you, or hey, that's a white shirt you have on, or wow, look at that mirror. Um, anyone? Anyone? Okay. Uh, let's see. Oh, you guys can hear me. Oh, okay. So is this the best place to? How about how about you guys that are posting on the page? Um, open up the chat bar on the side, and so that I can Okay, awesome. I see your guys' answers. That's great. Um, thanks, Jack and Oscar and MC Jarvis. Drop some beats for us. Um, but if you guys, let's see, not really sure the best way to do this, but is it possible for you guys to type in the group chat over here, and then we can all chat along together. So was the production process difficult? Well, I'll tell you. Um, on Patchistory, because it was because Denko did it originally, um, the Korean version, almost everything was finished, and so well, not entirely. So I would say it was about 80% finished, but um, I wanted to increase the quality of all the components, and also um, make everything legible English, because what they did is they translated it from Korean into English by two Korean guys that just spoke English as a second language, and I think they used Google Translate a lot or something, because um, anybody who has um, the original version knows that the English on it was a little sketchy at best. And so I went in and changed the English. We changed some of the art. We changed, I think, 4 tiles um, that were like Rommel changed and Disneyland changed, because I didn't want to get in trouble with the mouse. Um, and then they had I went through and dated every one of the heroes and wonders to make sure that they were all kind of like within the same time periods of each other, more or less. Era 2 is quite long, but that's fine as long as it's all consistent. But one of the cards, Pantheon, they had in Era 2, but actually was built in Era 1, and so we changed that. Or how did I? Oh, yeah, but we needed to keep a card in Era 2, so we changed that to Hagia Sophia and got rid of the Pantheon altogether. Um, so stuff like that. But as far as like the production, so the production was done in China, and John from Danko in Korea went there and oversaw all of it to make sure that everything was going smoothly. And so I didn't have a lot to do with it once I handed off the files. Once I handed off the English files, um, I mean, he kept me updated and stuff, and there were some delays, because there's always delays, but but overall it went pretty smoothly. I'm pretty happy with the way that things shook out. Uh, there was, the factory took, I don't know, about a month and a half longer than I thought they were going to, and then I delayed on my end as well, so that's why we're looking at it now, and not you know 2 or 3 months ago, or about 2 months ago, like I had anticipated. So, what are you gonna do? It's the way things shake out. So I have a Facebook message. Let's see. It's being buggy. It won't let me load up the chat and locks every 30. I have to refresh the browser to get it. Okay. Well, my friend Steve is having trouble, but seems like you guys are doing okay. Um, let's see. You guys have any other questions or any other Um, I don't know. Anything you want to talk about? Let me know. Um, I'm gonna wait probably a few minutes just to open it up. Oh, we have 11 viewers. Screw it. Let's go. Because I haven't opened one yet and I want to see it. Uh, so the what we did on this was because John was overseeing the production at the factory. Um, I didn't request a copy beforehand because I knew that he was going to do. I knew that it was going to look good, and I knew that he was going to do a good job and make sure that the components were quality and everything. So generally, I would want to see something and say like, okay, change this. This is good, whatever, and stuff. And so like he sent me an email that said, hey, the trade routes don't look so good. Do you want to take a week and redo the trade routes? And I said, yeah, of course. Let's take a week and redo the trade routes. So I knew that I would, there's no reason to waste the shipping and the whatever because he's going to do a good job overseeing doing the quality control. So here it is. This is the brand new version of Patchistory. There's our logo. Isn't it beautiful? Actually, the video on here is kind of sketchy because my cam is 500 years old. And then I have the old version here as well, and we'll do a little compare and contrast with the components on the old version. And so, um, do I envision expansions? Yes, they are working on an expansion right now. I don't know when it'll be out. And if I had my druthers, I would not rush that. I think. I mean, so it's a little early to compare this to something like Through the Ages, which is my favorite game of all time, not even close. But I think one of the strengths of Through the Ages is that it doesn't have any expansions. I mean, on Board Gaming Online, there's the Czech group expansion and the Polish expansion and stuff, and those are fun, those are great, but they're small additions, and this Patchistory is really good, and I'm not sure that it needs an entire like here's a brand new whole expansion that changes rules and does different stuff. Um, it's not my property, so I can't dictate the way that things are going to come out. But if I had my druthers, I would just see supplemental cards or supplemental tiles come out every so often. But I think they're working on a full big expansion, and that's awesome. But um, I would probably just add more things, you know. Um, so let's open this sucker. All right, I'm excited. Um, I this is before I do this, this was pretty short notice because I went down to the warehouse in Seattle and picked these up a few hours ago, and I knew that I would get more viewers on this Google Hangout if I did it tomorrow evening. But I wanted to open the first copy on cam, and I was like, well, I guess I could. No, I'm not gonna wait. I'll just put it up 2 hours notice, and hopefully people will show up, and it records the video so anybody can come and look at this later, and if they want to, whatever. So let's open it up. So here it is. As some of you may know, um, Rommel is gone and Winston Churchill has replaced him because I like to sell things in Germany and we don't want to get in trouble. So, all right. Well, this is exciting. This is like, how you go through and like Christmas is a pretty big deal when you're a kid. Like it's huge, right? And then you get like, I don't know, 15 or whatever, or 16, and you're just like, Christmas. And then you go through your early 20s. Maybe you guys aren't as jaded as I am, but then you're just like, I don't want anything. And now, I'm old, and people are like, what do you want for blah blah blah? And I'm like, nothing. I don't give me anything. It's fine. But it's nice to have that feeling again. Oh, I think I saw something just pop up here. Draw the blinds. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'll draw the blinds. Only if you come and play tennis with me again, because it's been too long. Okay, so let's draw the blinds here. Hold on just a second. Now, if it gets too dark, let me know. Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Okay. Well, Rommel isn't illegal exactly. I mean, you can't have swastikas and you can't have certain stuff. I just didn't want to get into any type of trouble. I didn't want there to be any I don't know. If there was a question about somebody getting cranky with us about certain things, then I just erred on the side of I don't know. I just don't want it to be trouble. Let's see. Sorry, I'm busy. Okay. Oscar asks, Eric, I pre-ordered the game directly through StuntKite. By any chance, are we going to get the game before U.S. retailers, like, for instance, Cool Stuff? So the warehouse is going to send out everything kind of simultaneously. And so you guys who pre-ordered directly from the site are going to get yours probably about a week or so before the retailers before the retailers do, because it's all going to go out. You're going to get your stuff, the retailers are going to get their stuff, then the retailers are going to ship theirs out, and then the chain for the distributors and stuff is going to be a little bit longer. So yes, you will get it beforehand. You won't get it like a month before. It won't be any appreciable like crazy benefit. Okay, so I'm gonna move over here. So let's open this guy. Oh yeah, it's pretty great. It's pretty great. So here's the new rule book. I think it. So let's take a look at the rule book compared to the old rule book. Well, the new rule book doesn't have my handwriting all over it, so that's a good upgrade. The text is bigger. That's good. We can all read. One of the things when I was redoing the rule book was that I wanted to make sure that the symbols were all consistent with what you saw here and what you saw on the boards in the game, and so you can't really see it maybe that well, but like right here, it shows all the symbols, and that wasn't there before. It you kind of just had to. It was a little bit of a guessing game as to what each thing was, and um, one of the things I've done a number of rule books now, and every time I feel like I get better at it. But uh, the most important thing is to make sure that there's repetition within the rulebook so that people understand the core concepts. And one of the problems that the old rulebook had was that people didn't understand what to do with the workers, with the descendants, the workers that you assign to your tableau and to the trade routes, because it wasn't really clear. And but in this rulebook, it's very clear because I've mentioned it multiple times. So rulebook is good. Looks just like I remembered it being. One of the things that I am going to make a note of that I screwed up actually is so on the back there's a little FAQ that gives a little bit of detail about each of the heroes and wonders that are a little bit more complex, and it was Christopher Columbus and Yi Sun Sin. I added a clause to their thing that shouldn't be there, and it's clear when you read the card, but the thing that I wrote here confuses it, and I screwed it up, and I'm not really happy about that. The John mentioned it to me kind of after the fact, and it was like, well, it's kind of too late to do anything now, so I'm going to put a note up on Board Game Geek and on the website when I do an FAQ for the game, letting people know that ignore these two lines because I screwed it up. So there's the rule book. Looks good. There is the coins, the money that you use to bid on the tiles, and there's all your victory points. Awesome. Here's all the buildings, and then the reclamation spaces on the back. Oops, I just popped one out. That's fine. I'm going to play with it anyway, so pop them out. here are a little bit more of everything. And one of the things that we changed for the game was the way that you declare war. So in the old version, the way that you would declare war is when you get to the end of when you or your opponent gets to the end of a trade route, you would decide, do you want to be allies? Do you want to be go to war, or do you just want to just call the whole thing off and go your separate ways? And you did that by doing a thumbs up or thumbs down. And we weren't particularly happy with the way that that worked out. Now what happens is, and those of you that have the old version know this, that there's 4 tiles here um, that use, or there's two tiles here that use Rommel and Genghis Khan. And now what you will do is I'll pop him out here. Sorry, not Rommel, Churchill, or Patton. I'm just gonna mix up all of the World War II generals. So if you decide that you want to go to war with your opponent, then you would reveal the red side of this tile. And if you decide that you want to ally or just keep peace, then you would use the blue side of this tile instead of doing thumbs up and thumbs down. So I think that's a much better way to do it, and I'm happy with that. So here's one of the blind covers, and these have been updated too to make them a little bit more clear and show. So let's see here. So here's, well, you're not going to be able to see this at all, but here's an old one and here's a new one. And the new one, we added some symbols to it to make it clear what's going on. Also, we changed a rule. We changed the way that threaten works in the game. It's a little less debilitating. What we found is that you can use threaten in a way that just absolutely punishes people. And what I wanted to change was that threaten only cared whether you were stronger or not. It was just binary. And so the problem is that if I'm on 14 strength and you're on 13 strength, then that's fine. But I'm only 1 point lower than you, and I shouldn't be like completely wrecked just because I'm 1 point lower than you. So the way that the threaten works now is that there's 2 values when you take either points or money from someone, and if you're stronger than them just by 1 or 2 or whatever, then you're going to take the lower number. But if you're 5 stronger than them, then you'll take the higher number. And now what's good about this is that you can be close, but not. You need to keep close, or you're gonna get wrecked for the higher number. But it also ties it nicely with war, because the way that war works, war also cares about strength and whether you have, whether you're just stronger or you're 5 or more stronger than the person when you win the war. So I liked how it tied both of those things nicely together. So that's good. Yeah, blind cover looks good. Same material. These didn't get upgraded. These are just these look like they feel about the same. So that's good. That's good. Now this was a huge, and this is a major upgrade here. This is the reference board where you put all of your status markers for your political value, your military score, how much minerals you produce, how much food you produce, culture you produce, so on and so forth. Now this one, well, I'll show you the old one here. Or not. Okay, yeah. So here's the old one. It's very flimsy and very just not great. Here's the new one. It's the real deal. It's nice and solid, nice and sturdy. It doesn't look like it's going to split. The other thing is that it just has, and you can kind of see it here. So it just shows the excuse me. It just shows what colors of chips go on whichever side of the board, and it doesn't tell you what those are for. It doesn't say like, okay, well, this orange is your what was called traffic before, your military and your politics. And so now the new one shows what each of the symbols are and what they or the symbol with the chip, and so it's a little more clear what's going on there. Also um, uh, on the tiles on the heroes and wonders, it shows if it's a production thing. So like you produce food, money, culture, and resources, and if it's a production thing, then it's going to I'll show this to you later, but the card is going to show a cog so that you know like this is producing a thing each round. Okay, but if it's just generating some amount of political force or military force for you, then there's no cog. It just shows the thing. So this is much better. We added some symbols behind the descendants here to show that that's food and not just some arbitrary number. This is the food cost per round for keeping workers on the board. So these look great. I'm really happy that this flimsy thing changed into this really nice piece of cardboard. So that's awesome. So the other thing that I'm going to pull all these things out here to show you, because this is a huge upgrade. One of the problems with the old version was that, well, these were flimsy and everything else, but the problem was is that the underside, the bottom of the box, it's just completely empty here. So you would take oh, sorry about that. These would just sit in here and then they would kind of droop down, which is not great. But this box has this. So now things just lay in there really nicely. It's pretty great. So here's the start player marker. And actually on the old one, I think I actually threw away the start player marker. Oh no, I didn't. It's right here. But I had to use like a bobby pin or something to keep it together. So this is the old start player marker. It's just a piece of cardboard that doesn't really flop up right. It's kind of crappy. This is the new one. It is a piece of wood, and then there's a couple of stickers that you'll put on either side. And so this is a much better piece of to show the start player marker. This thing was pretty terrible. Let's see, new workers. So all of the workers got updated. This is what the new workers look like. Maybe the red one shows up better. Yeah, there you go. You can see it against my shiny forehead. Now you can see it better. And the old ones were just kind of, I think these are cuter. This isn't a strict upgrade. This is probably a lateral move for a lot of people, but I think that this looks better than this. So let's see, more stuff. Man, I love this game. So it was great when this is our first production, and when I went to Essen last year, on the lookout for games to buy the license for, this was I knew immediately that I wanted to do this because I am absolutely mad for Civ building games. Like I said earlier, Through the Ages is my favorite game of all time. I've logged more hours of it than, I don't know, I've more than visiting my mom. You know, it's not good. And then Civ 5 and anything that's a Civ kind of a thing, like I'll do it. If you look at my Kickstarter and you look at the things that I've backed, it's all this kind of Civ-y stuff. And so I lobbied pretty hard to get this game, and it was a bit of a tough sell because I had published games before, and I under a different brand, and so I knew what I was doing. But this was a new brand, and so I kind of had to be like, well, let's figure it out. And so I was super excited to get this game and super excited to be able to work on it. And what I'm leading up to is that it's pretty sweet to see it now and to be able to open up all this stuff. It's pretty awesome. So these are the new trade routes, and then just like the reference boards, they're much nicer. They're thick. So this is the old um, trade routes, flimsy, and then these are the new ones, nice and thick, nice and just great, much better. Let's see. So we'll get rid of the trade routes, and then same thing here. This is the timeline board, and so the timeline board got updated to kind of make it a little more clear what's going on, and also is much thicker. The other thing that we made bigger, was the status markers, and so here's the new political status marker, the purple one for politics, and then here's the old one next to it on my left. So we made these bigger. The reason that you're kind of shift every round when you bid on it, when win a tile, your status markers change. And so if you win Julius Caesar, then your politics is going to change. Or say if you want, like one of the promos is Ben Franklin, and if you win Ben Franklin, every one of your status markers changes. So these are small and kind of hard to pick up, and so these are not, and they're much better. You get something to grip onto. So much better. Okay. Here are the cubes for resources and food and votes. So, and then those are the big ones that are worth value 3, and these are the small ones that are worth value 1. Now, the other thing that I wanted to change, and that we did change, is in the old version, the reference board uses two cubes, one to show what round you're in, and then one to show what phase you're in within that round. And on the old version, it used 2 kind of off-white cubes that looked very similar to the vote cubes, and so they were slightly different, but you had to kind of fish through and find them to make sure that you weren't that you were using the right cubes. But and so I wanted to change these, and so now they're red instead of all white, so that you can easily find them and just pull them out and not have to go fishing for them. So that's good. All the tiles. So I had already all the tiles got. We use a different type of paper. It's GSM 320, and so it's much thicker. It's got a nice kind of linen finish on it, and it's just miles better altogether. And so the old ones were pretty thin and you don't shuffle the tiles very much, but like they move around and they get shuffled in, or they get kind of tucked under and tucked over, and things they were just thin and just bad. And so the trick is how are we going to, because we wanted the tiles to be thicker, we wanted them to look or to be more sturdy, but they can't be too thick because it's Patchistory, and you're putting the tiles on top of and underneath each other, and so you can't just have like a weird pyramid of stuff. And so John worked it out with the factory and figured out what we could use, and so we ended up with these tiles, and I think they're great. Here's a bunch of Era 1 tiles. There's the back side with all the general buildings, and then here's the front side with there's the pyramids, and there's Aristotle. Aristotle's a beast. He's good. I can't see that. It's Juan Gallardo. So, yep. Here's all the things. One of the flavor things that I wanted to change was in the old version. There are special buildings, the gray buildings that are like barracks and special farms and mines and stuff, and I wanted those to change as we went along. And so, for instance, this one is well, you can't see it at all. Anyway, this is road. This is just for your logistics. It's just one symbol, and it raises it one symbol, and it's called a road. And then in Era 2, it's railroad, of course, and then in Era 3 it's an airport. And before it was just roads. Like everything was just roads, everything was just barracks, everything was just mines and farms, I think. Um, but those step up as they go now, and they just they do the same thing as the old game. They just are a more interesting card. Yeah, these look great. And one of the funny things that happened was I had to print the promo cards at a different facility. I had to print them through a different company altogether, and I was sweating it hard because I was like, well, it's gonna be different. Something's gonna go wrong. Like it's just not gonna. It's something's. I'm gonna have to like. I don't know. I was really really nervous. They're perfect. They're exactly the same. And when I got the samples of the promo cards a while back, I was so relieved because it was one less thing I had to sweat because I was pretty sure that it was going to come back and be like and be a little messed up, but it wasn't. It was awesome. So that was very very good. Yeah. So here's a little bit more of the tiles. Here's Era 3. Uh-oh. These plastic bags may not be the best plastic bags in the world, or the glue kind of pulls the thing off. Yeah, whatever. Right. So here, like, this is a national park where before it was, I don't remember. But one of them is amusement park and one of them is national park. All of the Heroes and Wonders got reworded to make sure that it was very clear what was going on the card, and because some of them were pretty ambiguous, some of them you will still have to look at the back of the rule book to be like, what does this do? Just for purposes of, I mean, conserving space, and then we said this is what's up, basically. More information, go get it. And it only happened on one or two cards, but now it's very clear what's happening on these cards, and so you can just look at the tiles that you're drafting and say, oh, I know what's up here. And so hopefully, I mean, of course, when you play the game 2 or 3 times, then you'll just know them, but hopefully it makes it easier for new players to read them and say, oh yeah, I understand exactly what's happening on this. Yeah, looks good. So that's the game. I can grab the. Let's see. I got some. Let's see. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to finally play both in Civi. Oh right, yeah. Yeah. I'll probably be playing that as well, Oscar. Jack says it looks like he went through a lot of thought as far as making more ergonomic and production values. I love that. Thank you. Somewhat disappointed you replaced Rommel with Churchill. We replaced Rommel with Patton. I said Churchill earlier, but I was wrong. Does that help? If you're American. Yeah, we replaced him with Patton. Just didn't like I said earlier, I just didn't want there to be any trouble. I didn't want to ship units into Germany and then they get cranky about it and stuff. I mean, when Denko brought units last Essen, they only brought 50. They brought 50 units, and they sold out before the show even started. And so I don't think, the German government cares about that. But I'm actually going to be, sending a good number of them into a German distributor, and so there will be more in stores and everywhere. And I didn't want anybody to get cranky about something. So if you can cut that off at the pass, then it's neither here nor there really. I mean, the card does the same thing and just change the name. I don't know, just like changing Disneyland or whatever. Oscar says, are those promo cards going to be available later on through the Board Game Geek store? Do you plan to keep them exclusive for those? So the promo cards will only be available through direct orders on the website or at conventions. They're not going to be available. I'm not going to send them to the Board Game Geek store and let them be sold, and let people buy them for $5 or whatever. The only way to get them is through the website or coming to a convention and buying the game directly. So, excuse me. And I'm not going to change my policy on that. It would be silly to. I got some grief for it. Some people don't like that very much, and I hear that. I understand why they might not appreciate that. I understand what what the concerns are there, and that it, you know, I don't know, people didn't like it. So, but that's a pretty small minority, because most people like promos and they want the stuff. And the thing of it is that you're not missing, like, anybody who doesn't get the promos isn't missing out on anything. They're not missing out on playability, right? They are missing out on some pretty cool artwork. You guys probably saw them already on the website, and um, the quality here is pretty bad, but I'll grab them anyway to show them, because the the Ben Franklin piece is so cool. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'll be right back, and hopefully I won't kill your ears. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah. So here are the promos, and so there were 15 Korean promos that came out, and I took 6 of them and change them into North American figures. And so same abilities as 6 of the Korean promos, but they're North American figures. And so there's Harriet Tubman that you can't see at all. Anyway, this may not be a very good exercise, but um, I don't know. I wanted to look at the Ben Franklin one because I can't get over how, and this isn't going to do it justice, but the art is so gorgeous, and it's done by an old time Magic the Gathering artist that I hated back in the day. I thought his art was garbage. Oh, his name is Drew Tucker, and if you played Magic in 94, 95, whatever, that name will be familiar to you because people really disliked his art, and I was one of them. I thought, oh, his art is terrible. This guy, everything's blurry and gross, blah blah blah. And then I was a Magic dealer for a long time, and I went back and looked at his art some number of years later, and I was kind of just fishing through stuff. I was looking, I was like, oh, I was completely wrong about this guy's art. It's really, really good. I just couldn't see it at the time. I didn't understand like why his stuff was so good. And so uh, when I was thinking about artists to do these tiles, I thought, oh, I'm gonna get him, and he killed it. He absolutely knocked it out of the park. The other one, my other favorite one, is a good friend of mine named Raven Mimura. He does a bunch of D&D art and World of Warcraft and a bunch of other stuff. But he did Richard Nixon, and it's it's so perfect. Just the look on his face, and just it's absolutely great. I love it so much. So that was a lot of fun getting artists to come and do some of these things, because I didn't have any art control over the original game. But the art in here looks great as well. It was done by a couple of different artists. All the pieces were done by a couple of different artists, and I'm really happy with the art. So let's see. We got, you're a little unclear. Will you sell the promos by themselves, or Jarvis, only with the game? So the only way that people can get the promo cards is by purchasing the game on the website directly, or purchasing it from us at a convention. So like when we go to Essen in October, we'll have units and we'll have the North American promos there, and so people will be able to get them. Jack says Patton's fine. Ronald was a very honorable soldier. Yeah, he was the Desert Fox. He was implicated in the quantum famous Nazis. Oh, I didn't know that he um, kind of went turncoat there towards the end of the war. All right. Yes. Um, I think Ronald was pretty fascinating, but don't want to stir anything up. So that's patch history. That was awesome. I think it looks so much better than the old version here. Everything about it is just looks so much better, and pretty happy. So, like I mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention this already, but it's in a warehouse in Seattle. I sent out an email earlier to customers and showed them, or told them kind of what was going on. But it's in a warehouse down in the uh, down near the docks in Seattle here. So I got to see everything. But our warehouse is in Minnesota, and so it's actually been in Seattle for over a week now. But customs, and then the trucking company has to come and pick everything up, and so um, I don't know. One of my problems is that I continually learn that everything takes longer than you think it will, because you're kind of optimistic, and you're always, oh, this will happen in this amount of time, but it doesn't. Everything takes longer than you think it will, and that's fine. I have to keep reminding myself of that, but it's difficult. So it's in Seattle. The trucking company is going to come pick it up in a day or two, and then take it over to Minnesota, and then the warehouse in Minnesota is going to get everything sorted out and shipped out. So uh, probably 2 weeks tops, and then things will be shipping out. So I'm excited. Finally, it'll be nice to see it on stores. Let's see. Oscar says, I remember the website mentioned that the pre-order copies would come with enough sleeves. Can you elaborate on the the sleeves that people will get is, so anybody who ordered before April 1st, I don't remember the exact date, um, will receive a pack of sleeves. And so the sleeves are Mayday, and the tiles are um, 71 millimeters by 71 millimeters. And so there is um, I forget which number of Mayday sleeve it is, um, but they're in the warehouse already. They're sitting there. But I forget which number of Mayday sleeve it is. But um, it's it works for. It's been a long time since I looked this up. I apologize. But yes, there are sleeves. They um, there's enough to go on every one of the tiles that you have here, plus the promos, and have a few left over. And so um, but the tiles are irregular size. They're 71 millimeters by 71 millimeters, but because Mayday makes sleeves for everything, there was a sleeve for it, so that was nice. Jack asks, I'm in Canada. Do you know when roughly I expect to get my pre-order in my eager hands? We're actually going to wait to ship to Canada until January or so, because we think that's funny. No, not really. Um, you, it'll. I mean, it'll take slightly longer to get there than it does, than it'll for some dude in Florida, but not by much. It's all shipping out of the same warehouse, but what I've learned is that it doesn't take that much longer to get stuff into Canada because they don't do weird custom stuff with us. Steve says, to be fair, estimate the time, add a little, and then it'll still take. Yes, yeah. I don't know why you would know anything about it, Steve, but um, yeah. Yes, it always takes longer. And so, as some of you may know, I sent out an email a couple months ago or so, with a nice big mea culpa, because I was like, hey, things are going to be here at such and such time, because you're all just bright eyed, and everything's going to go perfect, and it's never going to be any problems, and like you know you're never going to have to wait to do something, and the production factory is never going to be delayed, and customs is going they're going to look at your thing and say, oh, Eric Reesner, well, let's get this thing right through. Yeah, it doesn't happen like that. So whatever. Things take longer. That's the way it goes. Um, I'll forget it for the next project, and I'll be like, hey, this is going to be out in such and such time, and then it's going to be out 2 months later. So what are you going to do? I apologize. Let's see. So that's about it. Showed you guys patch history. Uh, oh my, yeah, sorry, man. I I did an April Fool's joke on Board Game Geek, announcing that we had canceled the game and just weren't going to print it at all. And so if you go to the Board Game Geek page and look up patch history, and look at it, I'm actually really proud of this. And I've done a couple of them in the past that I was really proud of, and this was a good one. But it progressively got more cantankerous, or like just it let you know that this was complete garbage, because it was like, if you're not happy with it, then take a walk, blah 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 blah. But some people, they don't they can't read humor. And some people thought it was not funny, which is fine. That's fine. If you think something isn't funny that I said, then whatever. That is what it is. But some people read it and they were just like, I can't believe you guys would do this. This is terrible. Blah blah blah. They just didn't figure out, like, as it got progressively more absurd, and I was just like, I'm keeping your money and I'm moving to Somalia, and they were just like, why? This is awful. Like, why would you guys do this? And that's fantastic. Um, well, what else do we got? Um, Airmex Miniatures is Kickstarter is going to go up next week. It was a pretty interesting exercise. I structured it in such a way that so Airmech is a video game, an online MOBA, and it's quite a really it's a really good game. It's a real time strategy thing. I'm terrible at it because I'm old, but it's fun. And Mike Elliott and Ethan Pasternak made the miniatures version of the game, and so we got the license to do the minis version of it, and we've done some prototypes of some of the minis and stuff. They look really sweet. I put the Kickstarter up a couple of weeks ago, and the idea was that we wanted to take the existing fan base for Airmech and give them the minis game that they might enjoy, and then anybody who came from the other side, from the mini side, excuse me, the board game geek side, the whatever side, and introduce them to the digital property as well. And so all of the pledge levels were set up in such a way that it was digital rewards mixed with the physical rewards, the board game and everything else and stuff. And people didn't like that. They were it was kind of two different camps. And so some people were like, well, I don't want any of the digital stuff. I just want the board game because it looks cool. And other people were just like, I only want the digital stuff, uh, for whatever reason. And so well, we listened to all that, and I got a lot of really good messages. And so we are like, okay, listen, we'll nix the whole thing. And so we canceled the project, and after 3 days or 4 days, and it'll go. And so restructured all of the pledge goals, or all of the pledge levels, and then rescheduled the stretch goals, and did some other things too. And I think it's going to be a much better project now. I think it'll be much more well received. And it was interesting. It was an interesting um, experience because they were right. And so I had two choices. I could say, well, no, this is how you're going to get it, and or you could give the people what they want and say, like, take their feedback and say, oh, this is what you want, and this is the form in which you want it. Great. Let's go back to the drawing board and give it to you the way that you want it, and that's what we did. So so hopefully people will be receptive to that. And I'm going to open up the shades for a little bit. It's getting a little dark. Um, um, I think people will like it. I think it'll go well. What else we got? Going to Essen. That's exciting. I like going to Essen. I don't know. I don't really have anything to, to talk about too much. If I'm boring you guys, we could call it a day. If you have any questions about what we're working on, who the hell am I, how the Seahawks are going to do this year, you know, we could we could talk about that. But beyond that, I showed the game. Looks awesome. I hope you guys are excited about it. I'm glad you guys tuned in. This was pretty short notice. It was 2 hours. I was like, hey, I'm going up in 2 hours. And I thought maybe I'd get like 3 people, including my mom or somebody, right, like watching. But we got up to 13 or 14 viewers. So awesome. I appreciate that. After such short notice, like I said earlier, the wise marketing way to do this would be to tell you guys about it tonight and then do it tomorrow evening. But I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait to open a copy, and so that's what we did. We just opened a copy. Well, so thanks guys for. Oh, Jack has something to say. This is where you address my calendar. Tell me, late. Oh yeah, right. Um, uh, yeah, that sucks. I know of a couple of there was the Kickstarter that the woman did that kind of went nuts. That was famous. I forget what it was, but um, yeah, I can't imagine doing that. It's funny. So when when we did the Crossmaster Kickstarter 2 years ago, a year ago, and set it all up, me and the other Eric and everything, and then when it finished, we got 360,000 for the Kickstarter, and we were very happy with it. And then part of the people were joking like, "Oh, Eric and Eric are going to take off and move to Brazil or Mexico or somewhere, and just like." And $360,000 looks like a lot of money. It's not a lot of money when you're when two adult males are just going to make a break for it and move to Argentina. So people in the industry know me, Jack. I couldn't possibly do that. It would be I like working on board games, and I like being liked, and so um, yeah, I couldn't possibly just wreck somebody like that. But it's tough on Kickstarter because you don't know, right? You're it's a lot of new publishers coming in and a lot of new people, and they're like, I have an idea, and the great thing about it is you can just make your idea and make it happen. Um, but yeah, you have to be really careful. I don't know. Um, I haven't been victim of that yet, and hopefully it doesn't happen. But um, I'm sorry. I think that sucks. Oscar asks for future expansions. Please consider doing a fan contest like the one that so we did actually for Patchistory we did a contest and and it went really well. We gave out some copies of the game. Well, that they'll get, and I think well, the nice thing about the contest is that it bumps you up to the on the hotness, and we were number two on the hotness, and we would have got to number one if Myth wasn't so like ridiculous at the time, and so we were up on the hotness for almost a week, I guess, or whatever, like number two on the hotness, which was great, and it gets you a lot of traffic and a lot of interest in the game. Um, so just raising that awareness. I love doing the contests. I think they're super fun. I will definitely do contests for all of our stuff. So there will almost certainly be a contest for AirMech during the Kickstarter. I think they're great. I think they're a lot of fun. So Jack says, yes, thank you very much. Having the game in such good hands. Well, I appreciate that. I thank you for the kind words. I hope I can do right by you guys. I think one of the most important things for me, at least, is um, I, I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna screw up, and that's fine. But sending an email like the one I sent to you guys a couple of months ago is really important to me. And when if I drop the ball on something and I screw up, I'm gonna let you guys know. Hey, this is what I've done. This is what I've done wrong. And you know, it's never malicious. It may be stupid, but it's never out of greed or just straight maliciousness. Well, guys, if we don't have any more questions, let's see. If folks pre-order tonight from the website, will those orders get sent out as soon as the game hits the warehouse, or there'll be a delay? We're gonna send. I mean, it's all gonna go out within the same 3 or 4 days of each other. So you're not gonna. I mean, there, like the queue, as it were, is not gonna be that big of a deal. You know, if you order tonight, and please do, um, everyone else can hear me, Brittany. I apologize. Um, I don't know. No, everyone seems to be able to hear me. If you order tonight, you're gonna get yours. Yours is gonna ship out the roughly the same time as everybody else's. Um, I want to make sure that there's no long delay, and the company that I'm working with is pretty awesome. Jack asks, any ideas for a follow-up game yet? Yes. So we're doing AirMech, and AirMech is going to go up on Kickstarter, and that's not going to come out for probably 10 to 12 months. It's going to be a long because minis are quite a process, and they're pretty involved, and making sure that those are done correctly and making sure that everything looks good and is good quality is going to take a while. The thing, and I sent an email out earlier to folks. kind of hinting at this. The thing that we're working on right now, um, the thing that we're working on right now is so awesome. I can't even I'm so excited for this thing that we're working on. So we're making it. We've made a drafting game, and it's a simple drafting game. It's played in 3 rounds and takes about 20 to 30 minutes for 4 to 8 players to play. You can It's all simultaneous. So um, you draft, you reveal what you're going to do, and then that's it. And then you just move on to the next round. And so you score points, uh, and so it's really quick, and I love it so much. But the coolest thing that we're doing for this is I've hired a writer and I've hired a concept artist to. So I had this world in mind, and I've always really liked like Wizard of Oz and things like that. I love like kind of not high fantasy, not like Tolkien stuff. Like that's fine, but it's not my like. I don't really love it. I like the brighter kind of not cutesy. Well, it's not the right word, but a little more kind of magical in the really traditional sense. And so what I had the idea I had in mind a world that I wanted, and I wasn't exactly sure how to form that because I'm not super creative, but I know people who are, and so I got together with um, um, one of my friends, or a couple of my friends, one of whom is a fantasy writer. And I said, "This is what I want. I have a pretty good idea of how I want the world to look, but I can't do it. And so can you can you take what I've given you and kind of write up this world um, and make this into a reality?" And yeah, absolutely, I'll do it. And so he wrote up descriptions of all of the locations and the races and the different stuff, and it's awesome. It's so cool, and he just did a great job on it. And so I went and I found 3 different artists that I liked and asked them to. I gave them some information about the world, and I said, "Hey, will you give me concept art? Like, just give me a sample of concept art of what you would do with these races." And so the idea is that without getting too into it, it's a it's a world much like our own, except it's say like 14th or 15th century like um, Europe, and it's nothing's changed. But one day, all of a sudden, um, all of the this kind of sounds silly now that I say it out loud. I've told it a bunch of times, but all of the animals in the world become like some percentage of them, say like 3 to 5% of all of the animals in the world become anthropomorphized, and so now they all have human capabilities, and they're somewhere on the spectrum of intelligence, but they can socialize music. And so what we do is we cut forward like 200 years or so, and now we're looking at the world um, after some of these races have figured out how to interact with each other and how to live and stuff. And so you have the crow folk, for instance, and they've become quite important in the world because they spent a lot of time observing humans, and they spent a lot of time, just hanging out and being socialized, and or like being able to observe and watch. And when they finally had the tools and the intelligence um, to do something with this knowledge, they used it, and they did it. Yeah, yeah, kind of like that was it. They're utilizing it, and so they've become really integral parts of the bureaucratic and political scene of this. We're not looking at the whole world. We're actually looking at one snapshot of this area called the Compact. And so the first game is going to look at the Compact, which is just a little bit of some cities, and how these races are interacting with each other. Uh, the major races for this game are the crows, the crowfolk, cowfolk, dogfolk, humans, and squirrel folk, and there's one other. Anyway, so there's lots of tertiary or secondary and tertiary races, but they're for another time and they're doing other stuff or whatever. And so you'll see them on the cards, but you won't be interacting with them very often. Most of the things that you'll be interacting with are cowfolk and squirrel folk and so on. And so yeah, it's semi-realistic fantasy. And one of the things that I've always really enjoyed is Gabriel Garcia Marquez stuff, where it's reality. You understand what's happening right now, and you can see it, and there's a lot of things there that are familiar, and then there's something that's different, something that's just a little bit off, a little bit changed. And so that's the world that this game will live in. And then there's another drafting game that's a little bit more involved by a different designer that will also live in this world. And so we have created this world knowing that we're going to use it for multiple games. Um, but the world is so cool, and the art that I'm getting back is absolutely fantastic. So um, that's kind of the next big thing. The other things that we're doing is I'm going to go back to Essen this year and and find titles to license. And I'm going to. I had a philosophy last year when I went in, and I knew going in that I wasn't going to get my pick of the litter. So like for instance, I don't maybe I shouldn't say this, but I guess it's too late now. It doesn't really matter. But Machikoro was one of the games that I was really interested in, and I was on the short list um, for possibly getting it, and I didn't obviously, but so that was too bad. But because people seem to really like it, because it's a really good game. Um, but and so I knew that this being a new brand, I was going to be a little bit hampered, and um, and so I couldn't be too selective, uh, but I was a little selective, and I only came out of there with two titles, Citrus and Patchistory, and actually I turned down about five other titles that I was in talks with, and I just ultimately decided that I'm not sure that these are going to go anywhere. I think I'm going to be a little bit more. I think I'm going to cast the net a little bit wider this time, and try to go for more things than I did last time. Um, to kind of to fill up the production schedule, to put out more time. I mean, as you can see, this year was not the rousing success that it probably should have been. Things got shifted. My production schedule got shifted a little bit, and there's two games coming out this year, and that wasn't the way that I had mapped it out. And so whatever, it's going to happen. Man, it's really dark and fuzzy now. But it's the way that it shook out. It's fine, but it's a learning process. I'm always trying to figure stuff out. And so next year I know we're going to come out with more titles, and things are going to be more kind of kind of chugging along a little bit more smoothly. So things that I find at Essen, we'll be coming out with. And so Essen stuff, Airmech, Citrus will be out in a couple of months or a few months, and then the drafting game that we're working on. And to be honest, this world that we're creating for the drafting game, AEG did something like this where they made I forget the name of it, but they created this world, and then they're housing multiple games within this world, um, and that's what we're gonna do. I want to I want this. I'm really excited for this IP, and I think that people are gonna really really like it. And so if we can create games that let people interact with the IP, in fun ways, then that's kind of the goal. So I guess that's it. Yeah. Sorry, Jarvis. I saw your thing a while back and I didn't answer it. Yes, we will be at Board Game GeekCon. We have a booth. Um, it's my favorite show every year. Not close by far. I didn't go last year because there was no reason. I didn't have a booth, of course, because StuntKite had just started, and there was no reason for me to go because I wasn't working for um, Japanime, the old company, any longer. And so I just didn't go. And it was a mistake. I shouldn't have just gone just to go, just to be there, because it's my favorite show of the year. I love it. I love it so much because it's smallish, but it's just chill. It's just people that are there just to play games. I just want to play board games all week, and that's it. That's all I want to do. And there's none of the other things going on like at the all the other bigger conventions, and so I I think that's awesome. Well, guys, thanks for sticking around. 9 viewers, 10 viewers stuck through this, listening to me blather on for an hour. I appreciate it. I really thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you guys for your interest in StuntKite and Patchistory and everything else. If you guys have any questions, you can find me here on Google Plus or Board Game Geek, or you can email me or Facebook or Twitter, all of the above. Or you can stop by my place with a cold beer and we'll figure it out. But appreciate it. Have a good night, and yeah, take care. All right. Thanks much.